Apologies for the sound quality on this video. I'm having to use a headset microphone. It's not as good as my usual mic, but at least it means I can get a quick preview of Lord of the Rings Online Update 15 Beta 1 out for you. It's short, but hopefully it'll be interesting enough. Right, good evening ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Torrent Cheats, where I've got about 15 minutes to show you the key points of the latest update to Lord of the Rings Online. So I'll actually not show you the Bjornling intro instance for the time being, because it's more than 15 minutes. But I'll just pop in this level 50 Bjorning I made, so I can show you a couple of things about the class itself. Now the load is quite lengthy, but I do remind you this is running on a very average laptop. One of the key points of my channel is of course that it's running on a very average computer, in this case a Dell laptop optimized for office work rather than gaming, and so it's loading from a very average traditional hard drive. So it does take quite a while to load for most things. Now the update here, update 15, both adds some stuff to central Gondor, including Osgiliath, which will be quite interesting to see, but at the moment there's no way to level up a temporary character to a sufficiently high level to go there and have a look, but that'll be coming up in, I presume, the beta for the second beta for update 15, and hopefully that'll be coming up in the next few weeks. In the meantime, the most interesting thing is of course the introduction of the Bjorning class, based of course on Bjorn, the Bjorning from The Hobbit, and it's a shapeshifter class optimized for, as far as I can tell, it's optimized to be able to fulfill any of the three major roles, both as a DPS class, a tank, and a supporting buffing class. Now there are some oddities with the system which I'll get to if it disdains to load me in before the server goes down. There we go. Now there is a new intro instance. I'm not going to bother going into it for the time being. But this is Bjornhild, my Bjorning. And if I can just find a suitable location. Now for this particular beta, the Isengard Tavern wasn't enabled, so there was no way of actually bumping a character to a high level. And this is quite odd. Right, the other day, very strange. I was in here the other day and it worked fine. Ah, there we go. So what I've done here is I've used the turbine point allowance to buy the Gift of the Valar pack to bump her up to level 50. Now there is a new mechanic here. Instead of having a power bar, you've got a wrath bar, and so you use your human form attacks to build up wrath, and then you can shapeshift into a bear. And then you shapeshift back again. I get what they were trying to do with it. They were going for a more dynamic style of combat, with shifting back and forth between the modes, but frankly, from a lore perspective, Bjornings are supposed to be able to shift at will and run around in bear form, so from that perspective it does seem a bit restrictive to have it only as an in-combat attack mode, essentially. But hopefully that'll develop and get a bit polished as the buffs go on, as the beta carries on. Now here's the trait trees. As you see, there are some interesting new skills. Some more interesting than others. This is the DPS build I've got, and yeah, there's some fairly useful skills, but I haven't been able to try them out in high-level combat simply because there isn't equipment sets available. I've got the Gift of the Valar pack here, a level 50 weapon pack, level 50 armor pack, the Shield of the Hammerhand. None of these can be opened. As you see, you get a general error, and that is because the weapons and armour and so on for the Bjorning class haven't been finalised yet, and, well, haven't been put into the game yet. So there isn't really anything to see from that perspective yet, which is a bit of a shame. It would have been nice to be able to level her up to 50, kit her out properly, and see how she actually holds up in the higher level areas. At low levels, such as in the intro instance, the shape-changing mechanic does work quite nicely. It's fairly efficient to use, and if you set up your quick bars in an efficient way, it can be fairly easy as well. But again, I am a bit disappointed with the fact that you can only spend a very short time in bear form. I'm also slightly disappointed with the intro instance itself. The initial intro instance is a whole new region, the Vale of Anduin, which is quite nice. It's a small but fairly interesting area. It's quite pretty, actually. There's meadows and things. And as it stands, there's very little in the way of questing there. Basically enough to get you up to level 2, and then it boots you straight up to level 5 when you get it out into the world. And I think I get the impression that it's intended... This is very strange indeed. It seems that it's not loading the world. Maybe it's just overloaded. Anyway, as I say, it wasn't doing this the other day, so it could just be that my computer's having a bit of a moment. But yeah, the Vale of Anduin as a region is quite pleasant. and I get the impression that it's a very abbreviated quest chain there for the sake of the beta, and that there's more to come later on. There's talk of a climbing to the peak of a mountain and so on, and you can see the mountain, you can see the steps going up it. You can't actually get to it, and there's a goblin invasion, and you don't get a chance to actually fight it off. You just get sent straight off into the world. So as it stands, it's very much a preview. You finish the intro instance at level 2, get sent off, and you appear in Archit at level 5. So it's not ideal, and I think it's going to be more interesting when beta number 2 comes out for it. I do hope that they decide to make the level 5 plus intro a bit more interesting, because of course anyone with a human or hobbit character will already have played those. So yeah, we shall see. What there is, for as early a beta as this is quite interesting. It's promising, bodes well. But there are many things that I would change, or that I would like to see improved, and there's a lot of question marks remaining. Now, it looks like the server is going to go down in the next few minutes. I suspect there'll be a world message coming up in the next little while. Oh, here we go. So there has been... interesting. I assume that these are level based. I think I'll probably blur these out to avoid spoilers, but it does look like there will be a quest chain. So that's interesting. It does look like there'll be a fairly extensive set of species or class quests for the Bjornings, and I'll definitely blur those out so you don't get too many spoilers. Yeah, I shall bring you another video when the next beta comes out. And for now, let's log out and leave Bjornhild to her adventures. Well, thanks for taking the time to listen. Hopefully there'll be a bit more for me to tell you next time. Bye for now.